"Unlock that gate right now," or "I'm calling the police." Yeah, that was the first sentence I heard from Melody Whitmore screaming at me through my own fence at 7 in the morning. You ever had your day start like that? With a 50-something neighbor going nuclear before sunrise? If you haven't, count your blessings and keep your coffee close. Her face was as red as her Lexus, and behind her a whole line of neighbors and their shiny cars were honking, late for work because, well, I locked the gate. My gate. On my land. And apparently, that was now a federal offense in Willowbrook Estates. I remember just staring at her, mug in hand, and thinking, go ahead, call them. Ask about trespassing laws. Maybe you'll learn something. But let's be real, you don't survive 3 years of Melody Whitmore without a thick skin, or a thicker file of her fake complaints and mysterious little accidents with your garden hose. Here's the kicker. While she was busy making my life hell, I'd quietly bought something that was about to make her world very complicated. Let's just say, sometimes the best revenge is legal and paved with fresh asphalt. You want to know what I'd do if someone tried to steal my property? Stick around. This isn't just a story about a gate. It's about power, petty tyrants, and why you never underestimate a diesel mechanic with too much time on his hands. So I'm Ezra Blackwood, 47, recently divorced, tired of fixing trucks and other people's drama. Thought I'd finally caught a break inheriting my grandma's old place. A 2-acre plot, ranch house from the 60s, tucked away behind a wall of pines. Grandma Rose always said her land was a little patch of heaven. You step outside, and the world disappears. Just lavender, diesel fumes, and quiet. But here's the twist no one warns you about. My little piece of heaven holds the only real shortcut into Willowbrook Estates. A cul-de-sac full of McMansions, with a monthly mortgage is more than I make in a year. Back in '85, some developer talked my grandma into letting him cut the corner, literally. He promised it was just neighborly. No paperwork, no easement, just a handshake and a smile. For decades, folks drove across 37 feet of Rose Blackwood's land, thinking nothing of it. She put up a gate in 2019 after some punks trashed her shed, but always gave the code to the postman, the fire chief, anyone who asked nice. Then, enter Melody Whitmore, HOA president, grass measuring, trash can timing, rule-waving menace. If you've never met someone like her, imagine the energy of a drill sergeant, but with pearls and a Lexus. Brad, her husband, was some insurance exec, but I never saw him smile. No kids. All her passion went into making 47 families jump when she said jump. 3 weeks into moving in, Melody's at my door at 7 a.m., heels hammering my porch like a woodpecker on Adderall. She didn't knock, she announced. That gate stays unlocked for resident convenience and property values. Not a question, just a fact, apparently. I offered the emergency code, told her it's private property. She glared at my oil-stained overalls and spat out. Listen carefully, grease monkey. I don't negotiate with people who don't belong in decent neighborhoods. Unlock it, or I'll bury you in legal fees till you're living in that rusty truck. Nice to meet you too, neighbor. I watched her stomp off, and that night dug through Grandma's files. There was the 1960 survey, county stamp, everything. No easement, no permission in writing, just that developer's word. My lawyer, Sarah Martinez, actually laughed when I showed her. Ezra, they've been trespassing 40 years. Lock that gate tomorrow. No one could stop you. But I knew Melody wouldn't go quietly. Next week was open season. Anonymous complaint about my illegal trucks parked in my own driveway. Then a noise complaint, diesel engines at dawn. Then the EPA showed up over my compost pile. Every time the county sent me a letter, I tossed it straight into the trash. But each complaint meant paperwork, official visits, and my morning ruined. Melody would rather burn down the block than admit she was wrong. You want perspective? Willowbrook's only real access cut through my place. Without my shortcut, it's a 35-minute loop during rush hour. Kids late for school, parents late for work. That's the kind of math that turns a peaceful neighborhood into a powder keg. But what made me snap was talking to the other neighbors. Quiet Dorothy Chun whispered about a $300 fine for Christmas lights staying up too long. Marcus Reed, big guy, firefighter, said Melody threatened him over the color of his mailbox. Her rules read like something from North Korea. At 8 a.m., you'd hear leaf blowers in perfect unison, like a suburban military drill. So, when Melody upped her game to police reports and slashing my truck tires, I realized Grandma Rose didn't raise a pushover. It was time to fight back. And you know what? I actually enjoy a good brawl, especially when the law's on my side. Week 4, Melody sent me certified mail, 3 pages of legalese, petitions with 23 signatures, all claiming my gate was blocking public access. It sounded official until you remembered. There was no public access, just private property, and I had the receipts. I called the county and ordered a boundary survey. On their dime, since apparently there was confusion. 3 days later, the survey team shows up like stormtroopers. Melody watched from her driveway, pacing, calculating how much credibility she was about to lose. Results? Beautiful. 37 feet, 8 inches my land. No easement, never was. Developers' original permits showed the road should have been built on HOA land. I posted the official survey everywhere. The Facebook group, next door, you name it. Melody fired back in 30 minutes. Fake news. Ezra's a dangerous veteran who threatens neighbors. For the record, I've never served, never threatened anyone, and my sanity is mostly intact. Watching her unravel online was better than Netflix. Right about then, another noise complaint hits. My truck's again, 6:30 a.m. I dug into the county code. Turns out, commercial vehicles can run from 6 a.m., and Melody's own husband left at 6:15 every day, warming up his Mercedes for 5 minutes. Legal and honestly poetic. Pete Williams, the county inspector, came to check the gate. After 23 years of this stuff, he wasn't impressed. He told Melody flat out, "Convenience isn't a constitutional right. Property ownership is." I thought that might end it. Instead, it cracked the neighborhood. Dorothy showed up with cookies, apologizing for believing I was a hermit. Marcus stopped by, said emergency services had no issues. Melody just lied a lot. That's when the real Facebook war began. Every time Melody posted a rant, another neighbor chimed in with their own horror story. Bird feeder fines, mailbox threats, parking tickets for being an inch over the line. But in my late-night research, I discovered something called a prescriptive easement. Basically, if someone uses your land long enough, they might win permanent rights. But in my state, you need 20-plus years. The road only went in 1985. I was safe. Turns out, sometimes being nice really does pay off, at least legally. Melody wasn't done. She brought in real lawyers, creamy letterhead, $300 an hour minimum. Demanded I grant a permanent easement or pay $50,000 in damages. Please. I'd seen this before during my divorce, a fancy threat, hoping you'll fold. Sarah called it a slap suit, strategic lawsuit against public participation. Her move? Quiet title action to officially settle boundaries. Cost me $3,200, but worth every penny. Meanwhile, her paralegal, Jenny, found county record from 1985. The developer lied on the original permit, said all roads would stay on HOA land, then cut through my grandma's lot anyway. Fraud, plain and simple. At the next HOA meeting, Melody tried to rally the troops. Instead, neighbors started revolting. Janet, usually quiet, asked why they should pay $500 legal assessment for Melody's personal war. Marcus pointed out the fire department was just fine with my gate. Half the room walked out when Melody started calling them traitors. And then I started playing chess. Close the gate for rush hour only, 7 to 9 a.m. For to 6 p.m., put up a sign, private property. Alternate route via Maple Street. Sat on my porch with coffee, waved as BMWs and Lexuses did three-point turns. Melody's 12-minute commute became 35 minutes of gridlock. Some folks offered me money, $1.50 a month, $75, just to keep the shortcut. Tempting, but I remembered my divorce. Charging for access might turn it into a business, mess with my zoning. Sometimes the smartest thing is to say no to easy money. Word spread that I turned down cash for principal, and suddenly people saw what this was really about. That's when Janet knocked, nervous, said, "We owe you an apology. We've been terrorized by Melody for years. Maybe it's time we had someone with a backbone." That same day, Jenny called with another bombshell. Turns out, the entire development was built on code violations. Septic systems without permits, illegal drainage, stormwater runoff into protected wetlands. Melody's war with me was nothing compared to what the county could do if they decided to make an example out of Willowbrook. Melody, of course, went nuclear, calling the police, claiming I'd threatened her with a weapon. Pete, the officer, has known my family 20 years. He just sighed and watched the security footage, me sipping coffee, Melody screaming from 30 feet away. "This is the third bogus complaint this month, Ezra," he said. "We're starting to see a pattern." Next, my gate lock was mangled at 3 a.m. Cameras caught it all. Some guy limping, face covered, but the walk was familiar. I upgraded to a $400 smart lock, worth every penny just to see Melody's expression when the gate didn't budge. The HOA meeting that week became a circus. Dorothy live-streamed the whole thing. Marcus, firefighter, stood up and said, "Enough. Why are we funding Melody's grudge?" Melody shouted that I was bribing everyone. 7 households refused to pay legal fees. The budget crumbled. Then came my ace in the hole. My cousin Tony works in municipal records. Turns out, the main road through Willowbrook, Lot 47A, was up for auction in 45 days, unpaid taxes after the owner died with no heirs. If I bought that strip, I control the only access in or out. Sarah did the math. $12,400 in back taxes, maybe $20,000 at auction. For less than a used pickup, I could hold the keys to the kingdom. This wasn't just about me anymore. Miguel Santos, the contractor Melody stiffed for storm cleanup, came to my kitchen, just wanted his $47,000. "Fair payment for honest work," he said. Dorothy, Marcus, Janet, all joined in. We formed an alliance. Dorothy called it coffee diplomacy. Janet started auditing HOA books. And that's when things blew open. Melody had been embezzling funds, fake invoices, luxury hotels listed as conference expenses, shopping sprees on the HOA card. Elena, Miguel's daughter, dug deeper. Melody wasn't even a real name. She'd been busted for embezzlement in Ohio, did time, changed her name, and started over here. This was her playbook. The final showdown came on the courthouse steps. I bid $30,000 for the road. Melody's face when she lost, worth every sleepless night. That evening, the HOA meeting was packed. Janet presented the embezzlement evidence. Marcus listed harassment complaints. Captain Rodriguez confirmed criminal charges were being filed. Dorothy made the motion to remove Melody, and the vote was nearly unanimous. I stood up, looked them all in the eye, and said, "I never wanted a war. I just wanted to control my own land. But now I own the road you all drive on. Here's my offer, $1.50 per household per month. Goes straight to road upkeep and legal fees. Emergency services always get access, or you can build your own road. Your choice." 3 minutes standing ovation. After 6 years, the bully was out and the neighborhood was free. 6 months later, we've got a professional property manager, new bylaws, and for the first time, neighbors laugh at the mailbox instead of whispering. The scholarship we started, named after my grandma, just helped Elena go to law school. Property values went up. Dorothy's the new HOA president, and every board meeting gets recorded. And Melody? She and Brad pleaded guilty to embezzlement. Got 18 months and probation. Restitution's going to take years, but most of the damage is covered. Funny how the biggest threat to the neighborhood was the person who claimed to protect it. You know, the sweetest sound these days is the crunch of new pavement under car tires and kids playing on a playground that almost got sold to pay off Melody's debts. People wave as they drive by, and nobody's screaming at my gate. Here's what I learned. It's not about power. It's about principle. If you give in to bullies, they take everything. Stand your ground, know your rights, and sometimes, just sometimes, karma really does have a sense of humor. But I gotta ask, what would you do if your neighbor tried to turn the whole community against you, just to cover up their own crimes? Ever had a run-in with a Melody Whitmore? Tell me in the comments. And if you've been there, if you stood up to someone who thought they were above the law, share your story. I think there's a lot more of us out there than anyone realizes.